So if you look at any of the materia medica or materia magica in mostly like the Western traditions, you will see lots of plants that you're familiar with. You know, you will see tons of herbs and plants and trees that you'll say, oh, I absolutely know that plant, or I can confidently identify that plant, or I grow that plant in my garden, right? But you'll also see inevitably so many plants that, unless you were to travel sometimes to the other side of the world, you would never actually encounter in person. And this is so interesting to me because so many of the most popular and then the most influential, materia magica were written before the age of instant gratification, right? So I think about some of the books on herb magic that are still really popular, but also were like pivotal in informing, more recent books that were made. They were written before Amazon was a thing. They were written before overnight delivery was a thing. So now we have the situation where we live in a world where if we want an herb that grows in the rainforest, we can get on, the interwebs and have it delivered overnight or same day through Amazon. It's crazy. So there's a huge invitation, right, through the books and through the expectations and through the availability to work with a lot of plants that really we don't have any business working with. I guess is like the quick and easy way to say it. Especially when people are new to a plant spirit path, when they crack open these materia, and let's say I'll pick on something. Let's say that we open up a book and there's some reference to an herb from the rainforest that's good for, right? Because that terminology is still so prevalent and so problematic. A particular thing that we're working on, I think that it's easy for us to fall into this idea like, oh, well, I have to have that herb. Like, that's the herb that I have to have. So, before I get into what I actually want to talk about today, I want to say this, that the hallmark of exceptional herbalism, whether it's spiritual herbalism or occult botany or green sorcery or however it's manifesting, is the ability to understand that any problem that can arise, whether it's inside the physical body or in the life path or whatever, that there will be a plant present in the bioregion that answers that problem, right? That when we get down into the essential nature of fairy, the essential nature of the other world, it's not possible for a disharmony to arise from the world of spirit without its responsive communication from the world of spirit. Okay, and part of the reason why plants are so incredibly powerful in this work is that they occupy space in both worlds simultaneously. So the root of that little sidebar is, we have to learn that when we see a plant in a book that is none of our business, that doesn't grow where we grow, that has a massive ecological footprint or impact to get from wherever that plant grows to wherever we live, we have to learn how to think better about the situation and say, well, it doesn't make any sense that there's one herb on the whole planet that addresses this particular abundance problem that I'm having, right? It doesn't add up. It doesn't make any sense. So, uh, what I really want to talk about today, and this all dovetails together, is how do we make our plant spirit work, our plant path work, local? Like, how do we make it relevant for where we are right now, when we are, and who we are, culturally, as individual people, because this is very important. We can't do the work deeply vicariously through places that we aren't in relationship with. The whole point of this work is about being in right relationship. It's about sacred reciprocity. It's about dual citizenship and engaging with otherness, right? So how would it even be possible to go any deeper than reductionist herbalism, reductionist herb magic. This herb is good for this thing, regardless of where you have to order this off the internet. Uh, how would we be able to go any further than that if we don't share bioregion with that plant spirit, if we don't have the ability to go out and meet them and connect with them? And, in my opinion, maybe not a popular opinion, this extends to herbs and plants that you can steward in your own garden. So maybe those herbs are not native to where you live, but you can grow them. Like I think about my relationship with ashwagandha, and that ashwagandha absolutely does not natively grow here. If you set ashwagandha seeds free in the wild, nothing's going to happen, right? But I can steward them in my garden and grow them and take care of them in a way that they can show up and be present, with me for 1 year, and then I do the whole thing again. So I think that it even includes those plants, um, because the whole point is that if we can't engage with them directly, then there's something lost. And people will say, oh, well, we have all of these techniques for journeying into the world of spirit where we can meet with any plant spirit. It's absolutely true. But why would you want to do all of that extra work when, again, all of the plants who respond to the matrix of reality that you participate in already exist around you? It makes more sense to me to seek out and engage with the cooling, descending, antiseptic, antiviral herb that grows where you are, rather than going and seeking, one that's harvested from Peru somewhere, just picking something at random. Or, for me, maybe comes from Greece, those plants, there's an iteration of that presence, of that energetic pattern that exists for you locally, and for you to come into relationship with that plant rather than some other plant that doesn't even share soil with you, that doesn't really have a personal connection to where you live and how you live. It's just less magical, and if we think about how our herbwise ancestors would have done this work, they would have only known the plants, maybe 40 or 50 plants that grew around them, and probably not even that many, right, that they worked with. So our repertoire can be very, very approachable, very manageable. You don't have to have 300 jars of herbs in your apothecary. you know Professional apothecaries, yes, because they're catering to a wide variety of people who have connections to different plants. But your personal repertoire of herbs could be 5 or 10, and there's no reason with that number of plants, if you are in deep personal reciprocal relationship with those plant spirits, that you can't harmonize any disharmony that might arise in your space, right? So one way that we can make our plant spirit work immediate, right, is to just learn who grows where you grow. Learn about the native plants and trees where you grow, learn about the invasive ones, learn about your gardening zone and what that means, and how you could bring other fun plants into your garden that maybe you're really curious about to get to know. Learn about the plants that thrive effortlessly where you live, the ones that you can go on a brief hike or out into an unkempt part of your garden, and those plants show up, and they show up strong, right? Because there is no footprint on working with those plants. They never have to go into plastic packaging to get into your world. They never have to go on a boat or a plane to get into your world. They're right here, right? And these are also plants that are hyper relevant because they are engaged with the soil that you're engaged with, the weather patterns, the culture of the place that you're in, the ways that seasons manifest, the other plants and the animals that grow in particular spaces. Uh, and they see us. We always have to remember that we are witnessed by the plants as much as we witness the plants, right? The other world, um, our world as we know it floats like an island in the vast ocean of otherness, right? Um, we're always engaging with them, whether we realize it or not. And so why would we not want to invoke and involve plants in our work that see us, that witness us as people, that understand, what our normal is and what our goals are and what our life looks like? It really does make a difference, beyond even just the ecological part of doing this. So I know that it's so like, we see these exotic herbs and all of that, and we really want to work with them so much. But, and again, I know this is not a very popular opinion right now, but it's unnecessary. I had a client the other day say, "Oh, I'm saving up all this money to go one state over, like to the next state to where I live in the US, to do this, you know, ritual with these people with this particular plant. And have you worked with this plant? And what was your experiences? Because people always assume I have." And I said, "Oh, no, I haven't, because I have peppermint." And it's like slightly a joke, like a little bit cheeky. Um, and maybe we'll save this for another time, but this, we tend to fetishize and exoticize certain herbs and think that, oh, this herb has the ability to give us wisdom or blessings that no other plant can give. They're a master plant. No, this is something that we have fabricated mostly to make money. It's not true. If you can't learn the secrets of the cosmos from peppermint, you won't learn the secrets of the cosmos from the louder, bigger personality plants. That's just my opinion. So our work, the more bioregional that it becomes, we have this ability to be in relationship with the plants that grow around us. We come to know them, they come to know us. We can go out and gather them and harvest them and petition them and sit with them and gaze on them. And the work becomes so relevant, so meaningful, and so immediate. So if you are somebody who has come to depend on, herb stores online and, herb shops that are bringing in herbs that aren't from here. Again, for apothecaries, it's a little different because sometimes we're catering to, folks practicing traditional Chinese medicine or Ayurveda or Unani or whatever. They kind of get a little bit of a free pass sometimes, but there's also ways to do that ethically. But if you've come to rely on all of that to get the work done, you are missing a huge opportunity to engage with the plants that are growing right around you right now. And it's going to take work, right? You have to learn how to ID them and how to understand their life cycles and when they grow and how they grow and when to harvest them and how to harvest them, right? But this is sacred reciprocity. If we're not willing to do anything more than click add to cart, we're not really contributing anything. And I promise you that the money that you spend on herbs online is not counted as a gift to the plant spirits, right? By the time that price hits your online shopping cart, the herbs, the plants as spirits, the soil they grew in, the sun that nourished them have been long forgotten, right? With very few exceptions, maybe buying direct from an herb farmer, exceptions to every rule, but specifically picking on these big ones. And again, sometimes when we're first starting out, that's the draw and that's what we do, and that's fine. This isn't a read on anybody, but there's a better way to do it. And that way, that bioregional way of immediacy is so much more beautiful and so much more enjoyable, and you will learn so much more about the plants when we engage with them directly, even if there's only three, even if there's only three plants that are, generally safe for you to work with, to make medicine with, to make tea with, to make with incense, or to sit with. Even if you can only really define three, you got three friends who are capable of doing miracles, right? And the deeper you enter into relationship with those three friends, the better it gets. So making our plant spirit work bioregional is incredibly important. It's probably more important now than ever because of the impact that our fast fulfillment lifestyle has on the environment. We should always be thinking several steps ahead. What does this click look like in the big picture? And sometimes it's all we can do, and that's understandable. Sometimes I do classes or workshops where the only way that I can provide enough herbs for the medicine I'm making or the people that I'm teaching is to reach out to an herb farm and have them send me some stuff. And I think that's uh, not the ideal, but it's like there's a better, always a best practices, best way to do it. But if you can grow one iteration of one plant in a pot, on a porch, in your garden, in a community garden, find them growing in nature and sit with them, you will find a kinship and an allyship that is of a different flavor than maybe you're used to doing things in a different way. So here's a request for the comments below. I would love for you to share one or two or three plants that thrive where you live, that are really happy growing where you grow, that you also adore, that you're in relationship with. If you want to list a whole bunch out, or maybe you just have one that you really love. One that comes to mind for me is, of course, juniper. We have several types of juniper here. We have osteosperma and communis, and juniper thrives where I live. They're so happy. They're always so beautiful, and they're so prevalent here. I have this incredible plant that within a few blocks of me, pretty much at all times, I can go find this tree and sit with them. So share a couple of yours down in the comments below. I always love to hear what you guys are up to and what you're working with. I will see you next time.